Hello from Farland. Just thought I'd give you a quick update on where I am with the design of new Farland. This is 5B. I decided to simplify the track work. I don't know if you remember the other design, but it was a bunch of spaghetti here. I kept wondering why it had to be like that. I like things geometric. So, here's what I decided to do. Use crossovers, simple crossovers that are predictable as far as the layout here and how it would lay out on the board. I determined how narrow this could be squeezed together, and I actually took those paper templates that you get from Pico and I taped them up together to give me, hello Jupiter, to give me the exact distance, because there's nothing that has to go between here other than maybe some control boxes and scenery and stuff. But what was very concerning was whether or not and what I would need in order to have these platforms the exact right distance apart to achieve the same thing that I achieved over on Shell Hill. I'll show you the way Shell Hill is constructed. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's quite well matched. It's not perfect by any means, but the height and the distance is pretty well matched to the coaches. I don't really want them any closer than this because they can rock, and coaches hitting the platform's not good. I didn't want it a half an inch or, a quarter of an inch. You see sometimes you see these platforms that are this far away or even that much, and it just doesn't look very realistic. But within reason, this is as realistic as I can get. Maybe that's better for light. Too much light can be a bad thing. So that's where I want to be with all this. And that means that with a platform about that wide, according to all my Google satellite searches and on-screen measurements and everything, that's about right for a platform. That's a good width. So that's the way I want these island platforms to be in the new layout. Okay, back to the drawing board. So there's a crossover here, crossover here, crossover here, crossover here, and a crossover here. So that allows you to get anywhere you want to go. And to get out on these outer loops, you would have to cross over in here. I don't remember who it was that suggested that perhaps I should consider making large curves for the high-speed line. So I did. I reduced the size of the inner loops a little bit and was able to put large curves on the outside of the fast lanes. Now these are all 4th and 3rd radius Hornby type curves. I'm using those for reference because I used those. Let me come across over here. I'm going to show you the mountain. Underneath that mountain, I used 180 degrees of 3rd and 4th radius curves, and they work great. No problems at all. Trains can fly through there with no issues. So in my mind, That's really as big as they need to be. Back to the design. So right here we have a reversing Y, so that as they come out of the steam shed or the diesel maintenance facility, they can turn and be headed any direction they want. I guess with diesels it's not as important, but I like to run mine in forward. I get confused when the arrow says backwards, but I'm actually going forwards. Silly me. This diesel maintenance is drawn a little too far to the right. This will be pulled back, and I'll scrunch it up and move it as far to the left as possible, because this is a raised section at this end. My plan is to build the lower section. Well, the plan would be to build all of this first. And when I was convinced it was all functioning well, then I would build the outside loops. Sorry about that. Loops. Nope, still not centered. There. Then I would build the loops. I probably wouldn't add all these sidings yet. And this part over here is raised. So for instance, a DMU would come out of this blind platform and start up a hill here, continue up until it was up on top of the upper level, and up here I would build far more. I would probably, on these tracks that are underneath the mountain, I would probably, or underneath the ground level, I would have fairly narrow supports for them so that this was all open underneath here to get to for maintenance and so on. And just in case a train fell off the track back here, I think I would probably have some netting under there to catch any falling objects. I've never had well, that's not true. I had one major derailment in my Shell Hill tunnel that I have now, but that was caused by a camera that was sitting on a flat wagon that was too tall, and it hit an overhead, and it damaged the flat wagon. It had a bent wheel. I don't know if you remember that or not. Anyway, I do, clearly. So the outside two loops, and originally I was just going to have one outside, but I've got enough room I can go in both directions on the outside. And this is 22 by 14. I don't know if you can see them, but there's little boxes here that represent feet, square feet. And that is exactly the same space that the layout is taking up now. The reason I'm going through all this exercise is because I don't want to start tearing Farland down until I'm certain that Farland 2 is superior and could be built, and that I want to build it. So of course these are tunnels. So it would leave the station, go directly into a tunnel if it's going this way. It would come out of a tunnel into the station if it was going the other. This is a tunnel here too. But this area is all raised. I like it. So that's the plan for right now. Some of the other work I've done is I wanted to determine exactly how wide this would have to be, or just how much straight track it would take to lay these out so that they were this distance apart. I need 6 1/8 inches from the outside of these sleepers to the outside of these, because that allows me to have a platform exactly like is on Shell Hill, that width. I think it works really well. I know what materials I use to construct Shell Hill, so I sort of know the geometry of setting up platforms like that. So that's the plan. That's the plan as we know it right now. Let me know what you think, and let's run a few trains.